Hello and welcome to parts 2, 3, and 4 of this professional development on using technology to increase reading comprehension. In the second leg, we'll cover all 3 parts because they go pretty quickly now that we've been through the major process of how to go through the steps of improving reading comprehension. And so let's get started. Part 2 will be Padlet and collaboration. And then part 3 will be about Google Slides, putting it all together. And part 4 will be all about Quizlet and how to use the Quizlet to challenge others with what they have created. So just real quick before I go any further, I want to show you what Padlet is. And if you've never seen it before, chances are you probably have seen it, just haven't really thought about maybe how to use it the way I'm about to use it, to use this collaboration. But anyway, so when you get on here, you can log in, and I believe you can use any kind of login you want with Google or Facebook. But of course, you know, if you teach in a school that has G Suite, like many people do, you probably want to hit Google. Show my credentials there because I've had a Padlet account before it ever went to Google. But anyway, when you get in here, it will show you the Padlets you might have already made or whatever, but you can go ahead and make a Padlet, join a Padlet, or hit a gallery to see other options. And you can go to your recents and see the ones you've made, ones people have shared with you, ones you've liked, like from the gallery and stuff, or or through the network that you're in. So anyway, if you want to make the Padlet the way I'm going to do it for my project, you click on Make a Padlet. It'll take you to some options. We have the very first version they had with a wall, which is like just a content or brick-like layout where whatever content people put in, it gets listed, gets listed, and it's all there in kind of a layout like you can see in the preview there. Then you have the canvas, which is scatter and a little more chaotic, but also connected in a way. And then the stream, which is more like your kind of Twitter or Facebook kind of stream thing. The grid, and which is a lot like the wall, a little more organized. And what we're going to use is the shelf, which is the stacked content in a series of columns, because that works better, I think, for the collaboration side of things that we're doing. And in order to kind of see I chose that for mine because it kind of helps me to see what each kid did a little more quickly, and that way the accountability factor is there. And also for them, when they go to do that final paraphrasing, it makes a lot more sense to use this format. So I told them to go ahead and use the shelf. Last one, there's a back channel, which I have not used, which is pretty cool, but apparently you can use it to do some kind of a chat when you're in the middle of a session or a training or something like that. Or if you're an English or teacher or something like that, you've ever tried Fishbowl, it might be something you can use for that, the Socratic seminar. But anyway, so we're going to do a shelf, and then we hit shelf. We'll select it, and Padlet gives you some options when you do that. And by the way, feel free to if you ever want to use this part of the video to show your kids how to do Padlet and how to use it and set theirs up too, go right ahead. So when they get in there, you got this options on the right for the title, which I told mine to use, like try to use the page and line numbers that they were paraphrasing, or whatever text they're paraphrasing. Some color options, some wallpaper options, and basic stuff like that, font style and all that. So some customization right off the bat, and you can get in more of those later. But then when you do that, you'll hit next, and then it will take you to the next thing where you're going to decide how you want to share this. So do you want to be private, password, secret, or public? So for my kids, I told them to make it private. And that way, they could add each other in the group as a contributor. That way it stays safe and it's secured. And they can put whatever they want on there and not have to worry about, general public or whatever, or outside people seeing that. And also told them to add myself on there as well as a contributor. So I would make sure I could be able to see it. And if I needed to help them out, post anything on there, whatever, I could do that. So the privacy part is probably the most important. Aside from choosing that shelf layout, the privacy is probably the most important for getting them to collaborate the way you want them to collaborate for this project. So then you're all set. Then you start posting. And when you're in the shelf, you have your column here. You can say you have first column, column A, then they can add things underneath that. Okay, title, and you can add, when you do a post on here on Padlet, you can add pretty much anything you want. So you can draw something, you can record your voice, you can do film, upload a file. So pretty much anything you want to add, it's all right here. So it's like this kind of massively customizable place online that you can add whatever you want to it. And you can get so complex as when you get premium, you can like name your Padlets and stuff and like actually make it into a workable website in a way. So a lot of flexibility here. But in this case, of course, we're just using it for this kind of group collaboration. So that's basically it. That's how Padlet works and how I set it for my project and other options and things like that. So there it is. What you're looking at now is a sample of a Padlet that students created in order to collaborate online. And you can see here, this person especially did the original passage, or did original lines he was responsible for, and then the translated version. And has some definitions down here in that last column. And then over here, like the second column in here, we've got translation with some definitions there as well. Here's an example I think is a lot better, though, that kind of shows what this could be if a group really goes after it. You can see they've got multiple definitions here. They got their paraphrase, and then they have, excuse me, they have their paraphrase at the top there, but they have multiple definitions with the original lines, and to kind of show that they really went after those words that they didn't know very well and used that in their paraphrase to make it their own words. So great example of kind of showing their work and using their notes to show how they went through the process of that we went through in the Nearpod. So. And the last one here, I will show you same thing, they went through and found definitions and put the paraphrase in after they put in their lines and showed their work through the definitions and add their paraphrase last. So great example there as well. So the next step here is to go to Google Slides, which what I did was I put a Google slide with everybody's team name. And in case you're wondering about these team names, they made these at the beginning of the year. And we have a class theme this year with a movie for Interstellar, and where the whole school does these movie themes and all that. So my theme was Interstellar, and so they made these space theme kind of team names and stuff. So in case you're wondering why they're kind of weird, but anyway, so they went to this Google slide and they found their team name and their page number and line numbers and all that, and they put in the original text on one side and just put together their paraphrases on the other side. So they just did that for each team. And this way, we can kind of go over this as a class and review it, and they can review it as a team and make sure it all makes sense. That was kind of my last instruction to them was, this is on here now, so make sure you read through it as a team to make sure that the whole thing makes sense to you. And that if there's anything that needs to be changed, you can do that. So that's how the Google Slides works, and kind of its main purpose. To kind of put it all together, make sure it is good and paraphrased well and looks like the original text but their own words. And just to give you an idea of how this is supposed to look, this is the assignment itself on Google Classroom. Okay, so this is how I set it up. I put everything in one passage, or excuse me, in one assignment here. So just to give you an idea, I mean, you can do it however you want, set it up however you want. If you have students, you need to break it down into smaller assignments, that's fine. But with my kids, I put it all in one here, so they'd have every resource with the Shakespeare's glossary and the Quizlet and all that stuff. Everything's right here. So that's how I did it. But again, however you need to do it to make it work for your kids is fine. And maybe you're not even doing all these steps, and that's fine too. And then last but not least, they went into Quizlet. So this is the part where they create something that can challenge other students. So they have their paraphrase lines, they've got them checked out. So now it's really up to you as the teacher to decide how you want to use this to help kids improve their comprehension that are in other groups. So for my kids, I'm going to have them look through the original text and the paraphrase text one time, or give them like a certain amount of time, like maybe 2 minutes to read through that. And then I'm going to have them do like a matching game. And this is really what I kind of had in mind when I picked Quizlet as the kind of culminating event here, is this matching game. And what you do when you go into that matching game is it takes all your flashcards and puts the one side, original side, on the same screen as the the other side. Okay, so we have mixed in here the original text and the paraphrase text, and you can see on the left side there it's actually timing me, which I don't know if I can really think and do this at the same time, but I'll give you a simulation here anyway. But you can see how it has the different original text. Okay, so I see the 9 to 9, so this has got to be a match here. So I know it's going to be a match. Okay, so it's going to keep doing this as I go and timing me. So what I'm going to do is have my students do this and see if they can get the fastest time, or which team can get the fastest time, I should say. And just have them like do a screenshot when they're done to prove that, and give them a certain amount of time to work on that, just to kind of put the pressure on them, because kids love that competition edge, and they love being able to kind of see if they can beat the other teams and all that stuff. So let's see if that works there. So there, I get it. Okay, so now I've got my score, so I can just do a little screenshot of that and send it in, or post it somewhere, and we can, they can brag about who had the fastest time. So that, again, that way they're challenged to learn somebody else's text, review it, and see how it's paraphrased, and start to familiarize themselves with how Shakespeare wrote and how to translate that. So that's really about it. We've got the Nearpod, we've got the Padlet, we've got the slides, we've got the Quizlet. So those 4 tools all together are what I used in order to improve the reading comprehension of my students through this technology. And I can tell you kind of reflectively that this worked really well for the most part. There's a few students who kind of struggle with the whole process. It's a lot of directions to take on, but because they're in teams, they kind of helped each other out in that respect. So all the teams were able to figure this out, and like I said, everyone did a pretty good job with it. Only had a couple teams in another class I did this with that had to kind of go back and add some more notes and show their work on the Padlet thing. But for the most part, they all showed that they could follow that process we learned, and work together as a team, and challenge each other and learn how to comprehend Shakespeare or this complex text or whatever you're using, so that they can comprehend that better through this process. So thank you for everyone who participated in this professional development and took part in it. And I really can't thank you enough for doing this, and hopefully you got something out of this, maybe a tool you can use, or some steps you can use in order to help your kids improve their reading comprehension through the technology that's available to you. And again, there'll be an evaluation after this to kind of do some follow-up questions and see what kind of help or what kind of training you might want after this and all that. So again, though, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you helping me out here. Can't thank you enough for that.